Hello mums, it's Nikki from the Mouths of Mums Cook Club. How are you tonight? It is great to see you and thank you for joining us. I'm not actually cooking dinner tonight. I am just going to give my kids leftovers tonight. I've got a few things left over from earlier in the week. But what I thought I would do for them is make them a nice little sweet treat for dessert. It's a little bit cold here and there's some custard in the fridge. So I thought that I would whip them up something that might be nice with that. So I had a little look in the cupboard and literally I have just invented this on the spot, so let's see how it turns out together. But I had 2 sheets of puff pastry, so that was my base, and then I had one little wedge of a yogurt cake which I'd made on the weekend. Now that's probably a bit too dry to eat on its own, so I'm going to incorporate that into the dessert. I've got some little apple slices that we actually sliced them up this morning and didn't end up using them for crunch and sip, I think that was. So we're going to use those, some walnuts, a little bit of maple syrup, a little bit of brown sugar, and obviously if we're going to have some lovely golden puff pastry, we want a little bit of egg there. So literally all I'm going to do is use these 2 sheets here. You can see they're a bit battered and bruised. They are the last 2 that were in the freezer, but I'm not using every little last piece. So all I've got is, I think this is left over from an old pie maker. You could use an egg ring, you could use any shape you like really. So I'm literally just going to take out 4 pieces out of each slice. Now the aim of the game with these is just to get them nice and light and fluffy, and you can imagine with those nuts and that sugar and those apples, it's just going to really be just a little bit of sweet crunchiness as a treat. Now I don't know, do you give your kids dessert every night? What do you think? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Do you let them have fruit after dinner, or do you try and keep that as a very much a sometimes food? I try and literally limit it to when we have friends over, or if we're having a really light dinner, I don't actually mind them having a little bit of dessert. So there we go. I just love having pastry in the freezer. There is so many things you can do with that and it's so easy. I would love to be the person that can make pastry on their own from scratch, but to be honest, I never seem to have the time. I must do it one day. I didn't actually think that could happen. So there we go. I'm actually going to make these into 2 layers.
Thought it would be like caller not available.
I know, I thought it would have said that. Oh, well, there you go. We learned something new today. A call can still come through when we are on a Facebook Live. There we go. So this is going to be our base. So what I will do, come on over here, Abs, and we'll have a little look. I'm just going to literally pop a tiny little bit of egg. Now all I've done, if you've never actually used an egg with pastry, I actually love including the yolk, and I just that's just 1 egg in there. Obviously it's way too much, but I will pop that in with some scrambled eggs in the morning or something like that. It just gives you a beautiful golden finish on that. Now the other thing that we need to think about too is keeping those fillings really, really light, because we want this to still puff up. We don't want to weigh it down too much. So all I'm going to do is put a couple of little apple slices per sheet of pastry. Here we go. Now you can see that I've just cut these through the side of an apple, and they are super fine little slices. You could go a lot thinner if you had a mandolin, but I just cut these up with a knife this morning. So they're not the finest in the world, but they will still cook through in the time that it takes for that pastry to brown up and puff up. So they are sitting very pretty there. So there we go. That is obviously, I'm not going to use all of it. Then I thought, as an experiment, we'll just put a little tiny bit of maple syrup on each one. Just drizzle that around there like that. Now obviously these are going to go a bit oozy and gooey on the sides, but I think that's kind of part of the fun. I've sat them on baking paper so we won't get too much of a sticky mess on the baking tray. That's right, Abs. There we go. Then what I thought we would do is just get some of this cake crumb. So you can see that I've just crumbled that up, and I'm just going to literally put a couple of teaspoons on there. I certainly wouldn't be going in any cake competitions with this, Abs, but I think it's actually going to taste quite yummy, don't you?
Yeah.
What's not to love about pastry that's got sweet things on top, hey? Now what do you think, Abby? Do you reckon custard with this one? Maybe custard, maybe a bit of ice cream.
Maybe.
Maybe a bit of
Definitely.
cream. You could put some yogurt, couldn't you, if you wanted to?
The
That would actually
coconut
be...
yogurt.
Coconut yogurt would be good, yeah. Absolutely. I think you guys are going to be a bit spoiled for choice. So there we go. If you didn't have any cake left over, you could even pop a little breadcrumb on here. You could put some crumbled up Anzac biscuits, or you could do without. I'm just going to push a couple of those on there.
Elle wants to come over.
Elle wants to come over. Come on over, Elle. So that's Elle from our team, Elle from the Mouths of Mums team. She's obviously watching to see what we're up to. Next week, I'm very excited to let you know that Elle is actually going to start joining us on our cook club, on our, not our cook club lives, but she is actually going to start what we're calling Mum Crafternoon. And what we're going to do is bring you a couple of craft projects every single week on a live, so that if you want to do some craft with your kids, or if you want to make your own face masks or anything like that, we are actually going to have Elle bringing you those. She is setting up Craft Corner in the office, and we are going to film those. We're going to bring those to you 1 or 2 afternoons a week. So all I'm going to do now is pop, actually, do you know what? Before we do that, I am going to put...
have 3 afternoons.
Do you want to come over and do that, Abby? Oh, listen to Cooper. I think he's having a dream. That's our puppy dog. Emma, what is that crazy dog doing?
Dreaming.
You won't believe it, but he's actually asleep in front of the heater. So he's obviously dreaming about chasing rabbits or something. Oh, listen to him. He is a crazy dog. So we're just going to pop a little lid on there, just for fun.
What about the sugar?
Oh, I thought we might put a little bit of sugar on top. That's what happens to brown sugar when we put it in the
It
oven.
like goes into like sticky,
It does,
like
doesn't
toffee
it?
stuff.
Yeah, it does. It crystallises and caramelizes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There we go. So
Wish
there
it did that
we
in your
are.
mouth.
You wouldn't want to put it in your mouth straight after the oven, would you? Because
No, I
it would
said
be...
I wish it did it in your mouth.
Oh, caramelised in your mouth, yeah. I think you need the heat for it to caramelise.
Yeah.
So a little bit more egg there, which is just going to give us that lovely golden finish.
They look like hamburgers.
There we go. Cooper obviously found his rabbit because he stopped carrying on. Do you reckon they look like hamburgers?
Yeah.
Pretty bumpy burgers, babe. But I think once they're nice and cooked, they're going to be okay. Now, all I'm going to do just for fun is just put a little tiny bit more crumb on top of those. Let that all... Obviously, these are going to look a lot nicer once we serve them up. But just for fun, there we go. Now, these are going to go... I won't make the oven too hot because we don't want this cake crumb to burn. And then we'll put a little bit more walnuts, a few more walnuts, because I just cannot resist the crunch of nuts in a dessert. Oh, that sounds like Toby coming in the door. There we go. Toby's been sitting out the front in the cold, probably been chatting to his friends, I'd say. There we go. So what do we think about that, Moot? Here we go. I'm just going to put a little bit of that brown sugar on top because that'll give us that nice little caramelisation. Doesn't need a lot. All you've just got to do with these is watch that they don't burn. But they're really only going to need not very long at all. That puff pastry really only needs about 10 minutes, just pretty much until it's browned off. So there we go. This is going to be yummy. If you didn't have walnuts, you could use pecans, you could use slivered almonds, you could really use whatever you like. I mean, I guess that's the thing about cooking, is that, you know what, you can just have fun with it. There's no need to stick to a recipe exactly. And once you kind of got the basic idea, you can just have a whole lot of fun. So what I'm going to do is pop these in the oven now. Thank you for joining us. What I will do is once they come out of the oven, I'll pop them on a plate and I will add a photo to this video. The other thing I'll do is I'll put this recipe, as much of a recipe as it is, I'll put that onto the Mouths of Mums website so that if you want to actually go back later on, you can do that. We'll also put this up on our YouTube channel. MoM TV, MoM.tv. We are putting all the videos that we produce up there now, so that anytime you want to go and have a look, you can do that. They will be up there tomorrow. It just gives us a little bit of time to get it up there. But I wanted to say thank you for joining us. I do love doing these. It's kind of exciting because it keeps me on track too. Listen to that puppy. I might need to go and see what he's up to. These are going to go into the oven. Thank you for joining me. Lots of love, and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye-bye.